Welcome back to On the Time, everyone. Today we have the Tissot PRX. Now, this is a watch that I historically have found very boring, but I decided to give it a chance. And I was actually going to do separate videos on the quartz and automatic versions, but then I figured there's no point because they're essentially the same exact watch, just a couple of minor differences, at least in the 40mm versions. Uh, the automatic is slightly thicker, as you'd imagine, and the quartz doesn't have anti-reflective coating on the crystal. Other than that, the dial options are different, but it's the same watch, the same specs otherwise. So, with that being said, let's take a look at the Tissot PRX. The Tissot PRX, it was first launched as a quartz watch in 1978. Back then, it was known as the C-Star Quartz, and then they decided to relaunch it in 2021, and it really took the industry by storm and sort of ushered in the reemergence of the integrated bracelet watch trend. So after this came out, you would see competitors start to launch, like Citizen Tsuyosa, which we'll also take a look at in another video, and all the way up to more high-end watches. Of course, things like the AP Royal Oak has always been there, but the 1970s integrated bracelet trend sort of really came back with the reintroduction of the PRX. Now, the PRX has always been kind of boring to me, and I feel like I'm not alone in that opinion. Although the PRX is well loved, there's also a vocal minority that includes myself that just finds it boring. And I'm talking like the case and the bezel, just flat, smooth, and just boring. Just nothing that really stands out and screams, hey, you need to get this watch. If it wasn't for these reviews, I honestly would have never bought one of these watches at all. It just did not appeal to me. But nonetheless, it deserves the credit for being a trendsetter and for inspiring all the other competitors to come out after this. The PRX Quartz version is much the same as the automatic version, so I would lean towards the Quartz version for the cheaper price if you are going to pick up one of these watches, unless of course you just have to have the automatic lest you be lumped in with the pores and their battery powered toys. God forbid. And so we have the quartz version of the PRX here on the left and the automatic here on the right. Easy to tell them apart. You have the smoother dial here on the quartz, and you have the textured, like waffle style dial on the automatic. Of course, you have the exhibition case back, whereas on the quartz, it's just a solid case back. Both have the same bracelet, same dimensions, other than the automatic being a little bit thicker. They both look really good. When you move them around in the light, both of them sparkle and shine pretty nice. Pretty much the same. I don't think I've noticed any difference at all in how they sparkle and shine. The finishing quality between, one or the other, even though the automatic is double the price. I don't think it is any different than the quartz version when it comes to finishing quality. And if you kind of move those hands around or move the watch around, you can see that the indices on the dial, they sparkle, shine pretty nice. Maybe a little more on the automatic, so maybe there's a little bit higher finish quality on the automatic than the quartz, but they're pretty comparable overall, honestly. So is it worth paying double the price for the automatic? I don't think it is, honestly. I really don't. But they both feature the same integrated bracelet. Nice and slim. It really disappears under the cuff. Nice on your arm. It hides away when you want it to hide away. Super easy. And just the design overall, it grabs attention when you want it to grab attention. And both of these, you put them on your wrist, and it really does just feel, because of that integrated bracelet style, it really does just feel like it could be a regular bracelet, a piece of jewelry, you know, not just a watch in the same way that normal watches are. It feels like it could literally just be a bracelet, like one solid piece of metal for fashion. And so that is the one thing that I really like about the PRX. It pulls that off very, very well. How slim and light and cohesive it is. I do, however, find most of the dial options on the Tissot PRX to be boring. A lot of them are just kind of like this. Different variations of like the waffle dial texture and of just different shades of this plain smooth sunburst dial. And there's just not a lot there for me. There are some that have come out more recently that do a better job, but really they're still just boring to me. There's also rubber strap versions available, and most surfaces on the PRX are brushed, although there is a good bit of polishing. Of course, the bezel is very polished. And there's like a little undercut that's polished. And it seems to be on the bracelet, little bits of polishing on the edges. Or at least that's how it appears when you move it around in the light. It could be all brushed, I'm not exactly sure, but some of these edges look to be more polished. And as far as how does this thing wear, it wears pretty good. Because I have a 7.5-inch wrist, and this automatic that I bought, it didn't come with any extra links. It's sized for a 7.25-inch wrist, and still with a 7.5-inch wrist, I can wear it all day. Doesn't matter if my wrist swells up or anything, like it's still comfortable enough for me to wear all day. So that's a really good thing about it. Let's go ahead and get some measurements on it. I know the case diameter is supposed to be 40 millimeters. And it's going to depend where you measure it. But we got 40 right there. Nice even 40. We had it at least. And this is the automatic, which is going to be thicker, as I said. It comes in at, we can get a reliable measurement. That's coming in at 11.1 on my scale. So let's take a look at the quartz, which should be thinner. And yeah, it is 10.7. So not that much thinner. And just to show that these are the same size, go ahead and do the case diameter. Yeah, 40, as I said. And the lug to lug on these is going to be about 44 millimeters. And then the lug width is interesting because you have this integrated design, and that's the lug width effectively. It's this little insert here, which would be about 11 millimeters. Thankfully, it is a quick release on the inside, so when you want to change that out, it's easy to do. So both of these PRXs are made out of 316L stainless steel. They have 100 meters of water resistance. Of course, I already showed you, you have the display case back on the automatic, and just the, flat case back on the quartz version, excuse me. And both have the same deployant style clasp, the double deployant. So that's pretty nice. And both of them have the quick release bracelet on the inside, which you can see there at the top of the lugs. So when you have a big hit on your hands like Tissot does, of course you're going to have people come after you. You're going to have people trying to imitate what you've done and gain some of your success. So one of the big things to come out immediately after the Tissot PRX was the Citizen Tsuyosa. This is Citizen's take on the PRX style integrated bracelet. style, and it's pretty nice. It's a worthy competitor. This is automatic, but it's actually a lot cheaper than the automatic Tissot PRX. It's actually priced more competitively with the quartz version of the PRX. So we're going to compare those two, or maybe not. Let's bring in the automatic. We'll get a quick look here at the exhibition case backs so you can kind of see the movements on both of these. Pretty nice there. Nice gold on the Tsuyosa and then the silver on the Tissot. But this basically, the Tsuyosa blends kind of a little bit of the quartz elements and a little bit of the automatic elements from the Tissots. Obviously, it's the quartz pricing and it's the automatic movement that you get with the automatic Tissot. And then they added in a Cyclops just for good measure, which I'm not really a fan of. This is my first Cyclops watch, so I don't know if it's just the execution here or if I just don't like Cyclopses in general, but either way, not the biggest fan. But this was their first attempt to latch on to the PRX's popularity. And as you can see, it's pretty similar in design. And then with the automatics, pretty similar in thickness. Where it stands out is the bracelets are different. The PRX has the thinner bracelet. The Tsuyosa has, this different kind of more bold, thicker, kind of blingy. I always refer to it as a blingy bracelet, which I do like, not as much as the PRX though, because when you're wearing these with long sleeve shirts, it's a lot harder to make the PRX disappear, or it's a lot harder to make the Tsuyosa disappear, underneath the cuff when you want it to. This is awesome for, wearing short sleeve shirts, but when you want to make it disappear underneath the cuff, it sucks. The PRX, way easier. And for that reason, I also went and picked up one of these guys. This is the Citizen Zenshin, and this is titanium. This came out after Tsuyosa, and this is basically, it's another follow-up attempt to capitalize off of the PRX popularity. As I mentioned, it's titanium. This is the small seconds version, and it's automatic. Same exhibition case back, the gold movement. You'll notice that this has a press class, which I'm not a fan of. A fold-over press class. I'm not a fan of on a watch that costs this much, but I guess it's titanium, so maybe they had a save cost somewhere. But this has the flatter bracelet, like the PRX. And they're actually almost the same thickness. I've never compared them before, but the Zenshin is actually just a tiny bit thicker. But, so if you want the Citizen brand, but the Tissot bracelet, get yourself a Zenshin. There's different versions of the Zenshins, but they all do a wonderful job of recreating the PRX kind of a look and feel. And they're cheaper as well. And just for the heck of it, here's the PRX quartz and the Citizen Zenshin on the wrist together. Again, the Zenshin is titanium, so it's not going to be as shiny, polished, reflective as the Tissot on the left. Both of them look pretty good, but there they are side by side. Let's take the Zenshin off and let's actually throw on the regular Tsuyosa. So you can see those side by side. And again, these are around the same price. You can actually find the Tsuyosa's cheaper than the PRX on the secondary market. Brand new even though. On the gray market you can find these cheaper and in different colors, more vibrant colors than the PRX. But there they are. You can see the differences in the bracelets. To wear, I like the bracelets equally, aside from what I mentioned about, when it's time to make them disappear underneath a long sleeve. It's way easier with the PRX. And why not, since we're here, throw on the automatic PRX. And there you go, the PRX brothers. And I did take a closer look at the edges on the links here. They are polished. So yeah, they do sparkle and shine. So that's going to wrap it up for Eye of the Time today, guys. Thank you for joining me for this review. My opinion on the Tissot PRXs has changed a little bit since I picked them up for the review and have worn them. I still find them boring, but a little less so. They have their place for sure, and they're definitely one of the better iterations of the integrated bracelet style of watch. They pull it off very nice. And on the affordable end of things, the PRX quartz, the only thing that comes close to it, in my opinion, will be the Citizen Zenshin, and that's just because the bracelets are so thin. Like they're so slim, they disappear underneath the cuff so easy on both of those models, the PRX and the Citizen Zenshin, sorry. And for that reason, I think those ones are just the best ones to go for, because you can have it, you can enjoy it. It'll be flashy when you want it to be flashy, but it'll just hide away, be discreet when you want it to be. If you want something that's just more bold and flashy all the time, then you have things like the Tsuyosa's with their thicker, kind of more brash and blingy bracelets. But thank you again for joining me for this review, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, guys, keep an eye on this on.